order. Thanks, Josh. 6:01, and we're underway. All right, so first up on our agenda is, one second, my phone locked up. We've got the approval of minutes from October 5th.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All right, any discussion, Dennis? No?
No.
All right, then a roll call vote will be for Sean
Yes.
and Dennis.
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that's a 3-0 for the approval of minutes. All right, and then we'll let's just move through the shred plan. Do we have any interest to talk about this tonight?
I'll make a
No, I
motion
think-
to move it to the next scheduled meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay. Okay, and we'll move to the next meeting. Sean, you good on that?
Yes.
And Dennis?
Yes.
And so am I.
There's a lot of things being referred to us tonight at the council meeting, so I hope if we can meet, I don't know.
Well, let's get through the other stuff first.
That's right. Okay, so now we're up to FY 22-14. This is the adoption of the Plymouth County OPEC Trust Fund. So I see, Tony, thank you for joining us tonight. You know, maybe it'd be helpful to me anyway, just to run through the highlights of this again, from your point of view.
Well, the OPEB trust, should I go that far so we're all on the same page with what the OPEB trust is all about and what we are putting funds away for? Bill, or is that does that work?
Yeah, that works. Yep.
Okay. So the cities and towns have not been mandated to meet the unfunded liability for our health or other post-employee benefits. And our health insurance is really the major component of that for retirees. And so I came on board 2015. We started to put $100,000 to show good faith investment into an OPEB trust, which is a special trust account within the our finances, as well as to find an investor. And the company that we had embarked on a journey with was Bartholomew. We currently have $850,000. Now, unfunded liability, I don't have the actuarial in front of me, but our unfunded liability is in the $40 million range. And what that represents is current retirees and future retirees health care benefit, the town's portion, where we haven't put any funds away in the planning process in order to meet those liabilities. I've alluded to this on the pension side. We are currently on a schedule to fund the unfunded liability portion of our pension by 2028. And I think it's fair to say that about 95% of our annual assessment for our retirement is for the unfunded liabilities. So like the unfunded liability that we are now on a schedule to be fully funded by 2028, we have the same dilemma with the unfunded health insurance costs that the town pays to retirees, the portion that they pay. And in fact, we were introduced by Mr. O'Brien as to the Peacock organization and that entity, which is sponsored by Plymouth County, that availed this model of the advisor piece and then the bank advisor piece, and and they were showing us what the returns they were getting on the monies that were invested. And maybe equally important is the administrative overhead costs that the plan was absorbing. And so we found that this was something that we wanted to take advantage of. We think, as it's stated very simply, the returns are going to be good, and the cost for administration fees that we're going to have to pay are very good. And so we wanted to begin to position ourselves so that in 2028, when we have the unfunded liability taken care of through on the retirement side, the town will then embark on funding the unfunded liability on the other post-employee benefits. And hopefully that's enough of a summary as to what this is about. And I'll turn it back to you, Bill, and I'm sure Mr. O'Brien, Treasurer O'Brien, and the other representatives can answer more specific questions.
Okay, thank you. Sean, Dennis, do you have any questions you want to direct it to the group?
I got just a couple of questions. I'm sure a couple of them I know probably knows, but this is to either Tony or Treasurer O'Brien. Is there a minimum amount that we're required to put into this every year, or it's whatever? I mean, there may be a year we don't put anything in, there may be a year we put in 200,000. Is PCOT requiring a minimum amount from us every year?
No, they are not, and there isn't any mandate that requires us to put anything in the OPEC trust.
But this would be a tool for us to use when we want to appropriate money to it. And a second question I have is would there be a penalty if we wanted to get out and say, okay, maybe the state says we can't do this anymore, or something comes up and we say we want to get out of it?
No, the short answer is no, and I'll let Mr. O'Brien speak to that as well.
That's good. No, it's a no, right, Tom? Yeah.
It is absolutely a no.
And that's what I thought.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Dennis.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I think that keeping it local with a Plymouth County program, I think makes sense. So I don't have a problem with this.
Okay, so I'll just ask just a couple of risk questions. So if we don't go this direction, I'll direct this to Tony first. If we don't go in this direction and adopt the PCOT investment tool and administrative services, et cetera, the risk is that we keep everything in-house and we can't. What is the risk if we don't adopt it? Let's just generalize that.
Well, it's really just the risk of not taking the opportunity to work with this Plymouth County sponsored program. Our funds are with Bartholomew, and they are invested with them. So I don't think there's I think there's a benefit to do it versus a risk not to do it. Maybe Treasurer O'Brien can give some further insight.
Yeah, I'd be happy to, Bill, if that's okay. You tell me.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yep.
Yeah. So Tony hit the nail on the head, and his description about OPEB was perfect and spot on. And there's really no risk at all, other than we think we've developed a better mousetrap to serve our municipalities. We were tasked, I was tasked by our advisory board, and I think Dennis served on it at the time, to take care of some of these issues that were rising to the top when it comes to OPEB, one of which was originally the state required a minimum amount of a contribution to join the PRIT fund and invest your OPEB. They've subsequently at least done away with that. We didn't have that at the beginning. As Dennis said, we have no minimum amount. One of the other challenges was there were penalties to leave different programs and other investment vehicles. So we eliminated that as well. There's no penalty at all with us, and that we think that makes us stronger. So what we wanted to do, Bill, was create a product that served you better at a lower cost with better returns. And that's exactly what we've done. And we have had a number of meetings with Tony and he really got right to the crux of it and said, why wouldn't we do this? Because the performance has been better, the costs are lower, and we have a whole team at our disposal. And we have Kate from PARS and Dennis from US Bank. And so really, we're bolstering what you have and I think making it better.
Right, thank you. I don't have any other questions. Dennis, Sean, any other questions?
No, I am good.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to adopt the Plymouth County OPEB Trust Program of Bridgewater.
I'll second that recommendation.
okay. Just a second, writing some shorthand notes here. All right, and any other discussion on this? No? Okay, recommend, the motion is to recommend to approve.
Has the Finance Committee voted yet on this bill? Do you know?
I don't know.
They have?
Dennis, they did. We got a report. They voted 6-0 in favor.
Yes, they did.
All right, great. Dennis, are you a yes?
Yes.
Sean, are you a yes?
Yes,
And I am a yes. 3-0 to recommend.
We appreciate that very much. You know, Dennis's point that we're local. Anytime you folks have questions, please. You know, I'm right down the street. Kate is fantastic to be there to assist Tony and anything he needs. And Dennis has some real, Dennis Mullins, a lot of Dennis's on the call, has some real additional investment expertise that we bring to the table. So we just want to bring the whole team and be at your disposal.
Excellent, excellent.
thank you.
And thank you for taking the time to talk to us tonight, too.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
So as long as you didn't schedule it at 8:08, I could.
All right, sounds good.
And just to let you folks know, we're going to be at the council meeting at 7, just sitting in case there were any questions. But we know Tony's going to be the one handling them all, but we'll be there in case he needs to throw it to us.
No, actually, I'm gonna let Michael do the council. I took this one, so.
Oh, you have the important one. He's got the general one.
Thank you.
All right.
All
Do
right.
you guys any more, Bill? Should
No,
we?
I think we're all set with, if you want to drop off, that's great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you all again.
All right.
Thank
and
you.
we'll move on-
Thank you.
And we'll move on to 22-15, the transfer order of general fund free cash allocation to trust funds. All right, so,
I'll make a motion to approve it,
all right,
bring it to the table. To approve the transfers of general free cash allocation to the trust, general fund free cash allocation to the trust funds.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
all right, discussion.
I just, Tony, I know I emailed you earlier. I just want to know where we stand with some of these funds and how much money do we have in there?
So if this order is adopted, our ending balance in the capital trust would be 3,000,008. Yes, that's what that would be. Our stabilization fund would be 6,152,000.
That's the capital stabilization fund?
The general fund stabilization, which is our rainy day fund, would be 6,152,000. The capital stabilization fund would be 3,000,008. The OPEB trust would go to 950.
950,000.
Yep. The employee liability trust, which is sick leave buyback, would go to 518,000. And the one-time unforeseen would go to 521,000.
So that's 521.
Yes.
So it's about $12 million, yeah.
Yes, sir.
So that certainly meets the benchmark of 10% that's in the, I assume it would meet the 10% threshold in the budget resolution.
Yeah, for the general fund stabilization, yes.
No. Now, since we're going to adopt this PCOT, whatever, I just I'm bringing a brain freeze right now. The Plymouth County OPEB trust, how soon I forget. Do we lose being able to account for that?
Nope,
this?
oh, no,
Okay.
absolutely not.
Okay,
Nope. Nope, not at all.
So would line 3 then be replaced by that trust in the future?
So let me walk you through. So remember I mentioned there's 850, the 100 would bring it to 950. So the way this is, any trust account, those monies are as part of our financial statements. They're on our record. We then determine where we're going to invest that. So our general fund stabilization, we're able to put a big chunk of that away with Bartholomew, all right, where we're getting a better turn on reinvestment. That's what we're going to keep that there. The monies that we have invested with Bartholomew, through Bartholomew, I should say, those are the monies, once this is approved, we will then take the steps to move it from there and move it into US Bank.
Okay.
But we still account for it the same as we always have. It's just where we are putting, the bank we're putting it into.
so next, on that note, of this, particularly the general fund stabilization, capital stabilization, which pretty much is $10 million, how much of that is committed, or is that all available?
Well, the 6 million is certainly not committed. The 3.8 million, you'll be receiving an order sometime in November. But I think back in May, we said we were going to appropriate a portion of the capital plan, and we did. And we're going to come back and appropriate the remainder portion of that capital plan. And we have a lot of commitments, some which are continuation of lease payments on purchases we made, roughly $500,000. And then we have some significant items that we have to consider. The school has some additional capital needs. We're meeting again with them before we put in the order. So I envision us having $2.6 million, at least 2.6 of demand on that 3.8.
And monies could be moved from the general fund to capital, right? If we had to.
In an emergency,
Okay.
well, I would just say if it's really an emergency, you would take it out of your general fund stabilization and use it as an emergency expenditure. I'd frame it that way.
Okay.
I mean, you can move it, the town has the right, the council has the right to move it wherever you want if someone places an order.
But it should be an emergency though.
Oh,
No pet projects, right?
Absolutely.
No,
That's
we're-
pretty good. That's a lot of money. That's a good solid. I think the auditors must love that.
They will.
So are the balances that you gave were before the transfer or after the transfer?
After.
After, okay. So, and I'm throwing out a hypothetical. A couple years ago, we sat down, remember the summer sessions where we did revenue, expenses, capital, and the school department brought capital plan that included for the, now it's Mitchell at the middle, but the middle school had like $9 million worth of potential projects. So if we were to undertake one of those projects, that would come out of our capital stabilization fund here, or is there yet another location?
So here's the, and I think where practice is gonna become policy. So Michael and I have really talked about this since I came on board. We define capital in a couple ways. We call capital equipment, those pieces of equipment, and a piece of equipment can be a football field, right? Because it's, or you could say that could be outbuildings. But let's say the trucks that plow our streets, or the sidewalk plow that plows, or windows that need to be replaced. Those things that we feel that we can fund through on a cash basis. That's the major reason why we have a planned surplus every year. First, it was the need, the stabilization fund objective. Now that we're there, we're looking to use the free cash to fund other post-employee benefits, sick leave buyback for those contracts that still have it. And we really want to be able to fund the pay-as-you-go type equipment, capital equipment items. Replacing firearms. We have firearms that need to be replaced. We have tasers that need to be replaced. When you get to brick and mortar, like really brick and mortar, like the memorial building, or your horizontal and vertical infrastructure, like streets, water lines, sewer lines, water treatment plant, sewer treatment plant, those have to be funded through, when it's general fund related, not the water treatment plant or sewer, that has to be funded through a bonding. It's the only way we can afford it. One of the principles that I believe, and I have been my recommendation and Michael's as well, and I think you've heard this, is that has to be funded through a debt exclusion. Because when you start to, if you don't fund those types of the fire station, I mean, you can see what building a fire station is going to be. It's a 30-year lifespan, and those have to be funded. And we say debt exclusion because the revenue stream that we have can't really absorb the principal and interest payments of a real capital improvement program, as I described, horizontal and vertical infrastructure within the levy. So, for instance, if the Mitchell School wasn't passed as a debt exclusion, you would have taken $1.4 million off the top of what you had for new growth and new revenue. Your revenue stream and the structure of your revenue stream, how it matches up to what you spend in order to run the operations of the town, including the school, can live within Proposition 2.5. And you know we struggle with that sometimes. Anything else requiring debt has to be a debt exclusion above and beyond what we generate from either the new growth or the 2.5% increase. So when you get, I think for the first time, when you get the capital improvement program again, which we'll issue prior to the budgets like we did last year, you will see the number of demands that are being put on infrastructure and what the town may have to entertain as a debt exclusion to pay for those. But when right now we're putting this money into this capital stabilization fund, this is for the pay-as-you-go type capital equipment. We've also had great success with the school, and we've met with them, I don't know, numerous times now, where we're integrating their capital plan, and we gave them roughly $500,000 in May. We're integrating their capital plan into our capital plan. And last year was the first time they didn't add capital items to their operating budget. They've parsed them out so that we have an integrated capital plan for all capital equipment related items. And that's why last year, when we made an appropriation on the school district's behalf, they were able to redo the football field with Rainham's contribution. So hopefully that gives you an idea of, yes, it sounds like a lot of money going into the capital stabilization fund, but a new fire station's $50 million.
I didn't think, 20-year assets have to be debt exclusion.
And I wasn't trying to, I was trying to do for the general public. I didn't.
Right, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I just wasn't sure because I remember that plan had plumbing, electrical upgrades, things like that. So I wasn't sure if it was coming, as an example, if that would come out of our capital stabilization fund.
Some of it will, and in fact,
Some of it will.
some of it did.
Okay, all right. I'm good. Any other questions? All right, so
I'm just interested to see the requests you got.
I want to know when that dog park is coming in.
Yeah,
It was on the list for 2023, did they bump it out? Who knows? All right, so we have a recommendation to approve on the table. Any other discussion? No? All right. Dennis, you were first motion.
yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Sean?
Yes,
Yes, I'm a yes. 3-0. And I think we're at the end of the list.
Till next time.
Until next time.
Till next
No
time.
citizens, right, Josh? So we can hear a motion
motion to adjourn.
to adjourn.
Second,
All right. And no discussion on that. Sean, I assume you're a yes.
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 Dennis, you're a yes. I'm a yes. We are adjourned at 6:20.
You're not supposed to influence my vote. You're supposed to ask me, how do I vote?
See you in a half
Let us
hour.
reflect.
Lot of pressure. All right,
All right.
see you guys in a
See you
half
then.
hour.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.